Whoops, never mind. Taking these two bolts out does not get this front piece out. I think they're connected in other places, so we'll have to find another way to get to these bolts. Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to Lights and Buttons. Today we're going to be talking about the Acura TL along with the issue where the car alarm goes off randomly during heavy rainstorms. Now, when I was reading about this online, people were saying that one of the potential causes of this could be a faulty sensor within the hood latch. And when I was looking up information on how to replace the hood latches on the 4th gen Acura TLs, the 4th gen being the model year 2009 through 2014, this being a 2013. I didn't find a whole lot of information on YouTube, so I decided that I'm gonna make my own video on me stumbling my way to getting through the to the hood latch there. And as you saw from the beginning, it wasn't quite a smooth ride to begin with. Now, I'm gonna show you how I get to it and then put this all back together. And spoiler alert, I think it's actually not the hood latch that's causing the problem, but a door sensor. More on that later. But rather than having this be a wasted video, I figured I'll show you the process of getting to the hood latch and removing it from the car. A disclaimer, I am not an expert in this, so try this at your own risk if you're planning to follow along. Okay, and what I ended up doing was to remove the bumper partially. As you can see here, I have this to protect the paint, but I do have a video on removing the Acura TL's bumper. If you haven't seen it already, I'll link it in the description below. But basically we got like 4 bolts on top over here. We got some clips, and then there's actually a screw, like one of these guys here, on the side within the wheel well. And then there's some clips and bolts along the bottom. And again, some of this stuff has been rusted out over the years, and it's kind of difficult to get to some of the bolts that are in the back here. So I kind of took this off partially over here. But anyway, this exposes the front, which will allow me to get to this part, which blocks this. So me, without doing any research, I didn't know there were alignment marks. So I'll have to figure that out later to see how high or low this hood latch really is supposed to be. But that's something I'm gonna have to figure out later. If you're taking this out, I'd say leave this in because you can see where it's aligned. You can't really see the marks over here. But basically, I'm gonna try to take out this front part. And from what I see over here, there's 1, 2, 3 bolts over here. Same on this side. And then a couple of clips that hold these plastic parts in. So I'm gonna take out these plastic parts first, and then take out the 6 bolts over here, and hopefully this thing comes right out, and then that'll give me access to disconnect and work with the parts that's in the space over here. So clip over here that I need to unclip from this bar. This one is a 12mm bolt. Wow, this bolt is in there tight. All right, now that the bolts are out, this is now free to move around. And what we're gonna do is we're going to pull this top part off so that it clears this part. And then note that this plate is behind these 2 bars. And then so we're gonna pull back and then down, and you might have to wiggle a little bit around to clear the bars there. So it's gonna come out to clear this top part. And then I'm gonna wiggle a little bit. I'm gonna pull on this bar just to clear. And then this will drop down and we can now remove this plate. On the web, a lot of people say it's just 3 bolts, but what makes it hard is that it's this part that's in front that's blocking the whole thing. Well, I put this back together so that you can see what it looks like before the bolts come out. When they say it's just 3 bolts, these are the 3 bolts that they're talking about, and we will now remove them. One thing I learned from YouTube videos is that for the left and right bolts, there are alignment marks. So do make note of that before removing the bolt. Don't do what I did. And now we have the back of the hood latch, and as you can see, there's a couple of springs, and when I pull on this lever, there's the spring in action. Here on the upper right, there is a cable that is unsurprisingly mechanically attached to the lever that's on the inside of the car. So when you open the hood, this is the cable that controls the hood latch. There's also a sensor, and I think that's that turquoise looking thing there, and there's a wire that comes out. My plan is to disconnect the sensor. Some people say you can clean this and you can use maybe a degreaser or something. But what I'm planning to do is to disconnect the sensor, because what I believe is happening is if there's a faulty sensor, it may be sending a signal into the wire saying that the hood is open. And I think when there's no signal, there's no voltage in the connection there, means that the hood is closed. And if there's a voltage that's present in the line, that tells the car that the hood is open. So theoretically, if I leave this unplugged, and by the way, this is attached over here to this bottom bar. I think there's a clip there. And if I unplug that sensor, then the car will think the hood is always closed. And now tell me if there's any other sensor that is malfunctioning. If it's raining heavily and there's no alarm, and this is the only change, that means that this thing is malfunctioning. But in case you guys are wondering, how do I remove this from the 4th gen TLs? There you go, you gotta get to this part, that's the hard part, and then the 3 bolts, and then this comes right out. To disconnect the cable, I'm going to first pull up on this white part that's here on the right. That will clear that notch. And then here on the left, as you can see, there's a little ball that prevents the cable from coming out. And to get that part out, I'm going to move this cable down and then out. And then hopefully that ball will clear that metal part that's over here towards the middle. And then that will hopefully release the hood latch from that cable. Bring this under that hook. Set this down. And then we got the cable here we have to disconnect. And now that this is out of the way, we can now see the cable that we're going to disconnect, tucked in all the way back there. Take this part out, pinch in, and then feed that through. Push this in to disconnect. Here is the hood latch, and basically we're going to put this right back in the car. We're going to test having the sensor disconnected in heavy rain and seeing if the alarm will go off randomly again. And if not, that's an indicator that the sensor has malfunctioned, and in that case, we're going to have to replace the whole hood latch. Unfortunately, Honda doesn't supply the sensor by itself, so if you're going to replace it, you have to replace the whole hood latch. That being said, some people will say, well, just leave this disconnected permanently and the alarm will never go off. But for me, I personally prefer to have my alarm functioning 100%, so I'm probably going to buy a replacement part if it comes to that point. But that being said, now that I've taken this part out, I know how to replace it with the new unit if need be, and hopefully you too. So I want to reverse the steps that I've shown you to put this back in the car, do the test, and hopefully give you an update pretty soon. And then checking in this area, it does look pretty dry. Oh boy. So putting the car into the on position, you can see the back left door is registered as open, and I double checked, it is closed. So we have a door sensor problem, back to the original issue that I had from a while ago. Let's check out this door. So the inside over here is pretty much dry. This part is wet, and then the door sensor is dry. Let's take a look inside. We'll pop this cover off. If we pull this sensor out, oh yeah, look, it's actually wet. Yeah, with this being wet all the way around this connection here, the sensor probably went bad, but there's a leak somewhere, whether it's in the roof or in the pillar somewhere. We have to trace that down and seal that up.